Greetings and a very warm welcome to all. I'm Dr. Rachel Ann Behling, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Life's Beautiful Synergy. This podcast is more than just a series of conversations. It's a journey we'll embark on together, a journey towards balance, empowerment, and transformation. In our last two episodes, we heard from some incredible doctors as they reflected on their PhD journeys and what lays ahead. Stay tuned for future episodes where we'll follow up with each of them in a one-on-one and dive into deeper reflections and see where else their journey's taking them. So as we think about the concept of Me for Me Day, let's step back and kind of define it for a minute. So Me for Me means you do not have any expectations of going to work, doing anything for anyone else other than to bring yourself back to you. Let me give you an example. So a Me for Me day would be on a Monday morning when everybody else is driving to work, taking the kids, doing those things that you do in your normal day, and you have the perfect day scheduled. You wake up in the morning, you go on a long run, you come back home, you go get a massage, you go get a facial, you go get that dentist appointment, you come back, you have a cup of coffee, you sit out at the fireplace in your backyard, you organize what you're going to do for the next couple months, you self-reflect, you read a book, you take a nap, you sit out by the pool. In the afternoon, you go to brunch with some girlfriends or some late afternoon happy hour. Maybe you pick in a movie. But these are all things that bring you back to centered on yourself. Don't think of it as a selfish day. Think of it as one of those very necessary days to recharge those batteries and make sure you stay connected with you. So the reason a Me for Me day is important, and I would suggest you do it quarterly, these are the days that you make sure that you don't get too far down the road in a path that is either leading you away from those goals that you set at the beginning of the year, or it's leading you down a path of losing your self-confidence, losing your focus, not focusing on your own mental health and the things that keep you centered and taking care of you. These are the kind of days where you step back and you're not taking care of anybody else. You're taking care of yourself, reflecting on what you need to do to bring yourself back to being that genuine, authentic self to yourself. That is the purpose of this particular type of day. So when you're thinking about the difference between just a regular day off, right? Maybe it's a national holiday, maybe it's a weekend, maybe it's a family vacation. Think about what's the purpose of those days compared to a Me for Me day. So a normal PTO day off, you have the day off from work, maybe it's a holiday, vacation, whatever that might be, you're taking care of other people. And there's other people involved in booking the trip, going to the airport, taking care of those things, taking care of other people's foods, making sure that they've had their meals in the hotels and whatever that might look like in a regular day off. Maybe it's centered around Thanksgiving or a person's birthday. Let's put those aside. I think we all know how to rock a normal PTO day, right? But a Me for Me day, this is the day when you get to define what is that perfect day? What does that perfect day look like for you so that you can think about maybe you writing in your journal, maybe it's the day that you literally book all of your appointments that you struggle with to book on a normal day because you're taking care of other people. Maybe you need to get your mammogram done. Maybe you need to get your annual wellness checkup. Maybe it's a dentist appointment. And then maybe the whole afternoon is about things that are totally only centered on you. Those are the significant differences between how you would spend those two types of days. The importance of self-reflection and self-discovery in the Me for Me day is it gives you an opportunity to have that, what I would call the come to Jesus moment with yourself every quarter of every year, where you step back and you really ask yourself, do I know myself? Am I taking care of myself? And how do I have proof of that? Is it in my calendar anywhere? Is it in the things that I'm actually doing for myself? These are those days where you really are honest with yourself about how well you're taking care of yourself. On days like this, it's really important that you ask yourself some very important questions. The first question is, do you know yourself? Or are you somebody else, depending on who you're around? Do you really know who you are when you're not with your parents, when you're not with your spouse, when you're not at work? Like, do you really know who you are? This is the day that you ask yourself that so you can recalibrate to come back to your authentic self. Our next question is, do you like you? Do I like me? If you actually ask yourself that a couple times a year on purpose, with the whole day ahead of you blank, to just address that one question, what do you think you're going to tell yourself? Sometimes we spend so much of our time self-doubt and that loop of questioning ourselves, wondering if I'm good enough, if I am enough, what do people think? These pants make me look fat? Does this hair make me look short? There's so many questions that we ask ourselves. But at the end of the day, do you like yourself? Are you comfortable with who you are when no one else is around judging you but your own brain? And guess what? If you do this quarterly, if the answer, your authentic answer is no, or not an enthusiastic yes, you have time to self-correct. You have time to change that answer so that your answer can emphatically become yes. That's the answer that we all want. This next question is about how well do you take care of yourself? And once again, you have the whole day. Everyone else is at work. You have the whole day to truly answer this question. Look at your calendar. Look at how you spend your time. Look at how you spend your money. Look at where you spend your mental effort. Do you take care of yourself? There's some very tactical things, right? Dentist appointments, well woman visits, going to the doctor. But also, what kind of physical promises did you make to yourself? That you're going to exercise more, that you're going to walk your dog more, that you're going to stay more physically active, you're going to eat better, you're going to do things better for yourself. This is that day where you sit back and go, did I keep that promise to myself? Yes or no? And if the answer is not emphatically yes, then it's a time to really self-reflect and to make that change. And guess what? You have the whole day to think about how to build that into your schedule going forward. You have no excuse. This next question is an interesting one. So have you ever sat back and asked yourself, do I listen to myself? Think about this. Are the voices in your head from your parents, from your spouse, from your siblings, from your boss, or are they words of encouragement to yourself, about yourself, and for yourself? Like, do you listen when your inner voice says, Rachel, you shouldn't do that? Or, oh, heck yes, that is definitely something that I want to experience in my life. So use this Me for Me Day to ask yourself that question. Do I listen to myself? Do I listen to my inner voice, my inner true north, to keep myself on course to the promises that I made to myself? Because at the end of the day, if you make promises to yourself, especially when we're doing our New Year's resolutions or when something really bad happens in life, and I think we all make those negotiations with God that if you just let me get through this, I promise X, Y, and Z. Use this day to kind of reflect, to think back on, do I listen to myself when I'm maybe going off course a little bit? Or I need to be encouraging myself a little bit? Or are the other voices in your head somebody else's that has a microphone when your voice should be the one that has the microphone driving what you do and who you are? So now that I've kind of shared with you some of those questions that you want to ask yourself when you're defining your Me to Me Day, now let's talk about how do you execute it? My first tip to you is, how would you know if you had a great Me to Me Day if you didn't schedule it and if you didn't define it? So let's take a moment and define that amazing day. So first, schedule them early. I would suggest, and it's a little bit later in the year already, but you still have an opportunity. We're barely at mid-year, but schedule them out for the rest of the year. Schedule them every quarter, so about every 2 to 3 months. Put it on your calendar. Make it on a Monday. Don't do it on a Friday. Don't do it on a weekend. Because honestly, on weekends, you already have so many other commitments, and weekdays just feel different than a weekday. And it also feels better, almost like you're skipping school. But it also feels really good because so many of the places are open, right? That might be closed on a weekend. So as you're scheduling your Me for Me day, take some time and really plan out that right balance. I have some Me to Me days that I literally do not book an appointment. My Me for Me day can flow from going to the movies, to going to the park, to going on a swim, to going on a run. And it's very, very organic. I may have another Me to Me day where I might have 5 to 6 appointments scheduled, where I can do all the things that would be really hard to schedule on a weekend because most of the businesses are closed. But the only way that you can really have a great Me to Me day is if you define it. Like, what is the purpose of this particular Me to Me day? And some of those questions that I encouraged you to think about earlier in this podcast are all about connecting back with yourself. So plan the things that you know will trigger that reconnection. For me, I'll give you an example. On the beginning of every Me to Me day, I go in my backyard, I pull up my chair, I light the fire, and I have my notebook and my cup of coffee, and I literally outline what that day needs to look like based on what I need to do to take care of my mental health for the next 2 or 3 months until I get this golden opportunity again. And I will define it and then I will execute it. And I think it takes that kind of planning in order to put your heart and your brain at ease that this is going to be a beautiful day. Because if you don't do that, so many times you might get tempted to take your Me to Me day because you're off and catch up on doing other things that you just couldn't fit into a normal PTO or a normal work day. Don't do that. I encourage you to value your own time, to value this special day so that you can do the things that bring you back to you, to keep you connected to your best friend in the whole wide world. That is you. The benefits that I find in a Me for Me day, first and foremost, be that reconnection and rejuvenation for some of those goals that I set for myself at the beginning of the year. It never ceases to amaze me, the lofty goals and plans that I had at the beginning of the year. And then within a couple months, and definitely by mid-year, I feel like a lot of times either I've lost sight of them, I've lost hope for them, or they've been replaced with other people's priorities. That the benefit for me is that I don't want to say it forces me back, but it gives me the free space to come back to it and feel that rejuvenation for what did I really want to accomplish in this year in my life. And it gives me that free space to come back to that and get grounded in it again so that I can walk away from this Me to Me day feeling that hope again, that I can accomplish whatever I was imagining this year would bring, whether it was something that I really wanted to stop doing, something that I wanted to start doing, or something that I wanted to be more consistent with. I'm going to give you an example. So at the beginning of the year, I made a commitment that I would be more involved in my nieces and nephews' lives. But calendars get crazy, demands at work get exponentially more tricky as you get into deeper and deeper projects. And then before you know it, graduation season comes, they're starting to get married, they're starting to do all these kind of things, and your calendar is packed. But this is the perfect time for me to step back and go, wait a minute, what's going on in their lives? how can I still keep that commitment to myself and to them to show up as the most amazing aunt? And this is that reflection to be able to do that before I get too far down the road and I miss that opportunity to end the year in that place that I had imagined myself on January 1st when I was setting my goals. I would encourage each and every one of my listeners to have that Me for Me day quarterly. You got to schedule it. You have to make it real. So I want to encourage you today, while this is still fresh in your mind, go book the meeting. Get yourself out of office. Make it a Monday, remember, and not a weekend. But schedule it from now until the end of the year. If you look in the episode notes, you'll see where to find me on social media. Please take a moment as you jump on this journey with me on setting up and executing your quarterly Me for Me days. I'd love for us all to do this journey together. I'm excited to hear about your own Me for Me day experience. As we wrap up this topic today, I want to encourage you to actually do this. It is one thing to hear me talk about it. It is another thing to hear me share my own experiences. And it's another thing for you to have good intentions. But I cannot stress how important it is for you to go on this journey with me and actually take care of yourself using the structure and using the opportunities to come back to that unique and genuine self by going through the process of these quarterly Me to Me days. Go do it. Take care of yourself and schedule them, execute them, and go on this journey with me. Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited to go on this journey with you, and I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe and follow wherever you listen to podcasts and follow me on social media. All of my information is in the episode notes, so please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.